On August 2, 2015, the Franklin County Sheriff's Office received a series of frantic 911 calls, all recounting the same horrifying event.
Hello, Gahanna Police.
Somebody just set a woman on fire behind Speedway on Stigler Road.
I don't just set a woman on fire.
The individual behind this appalling event was identified as Michael Slager, a 41-year-old man, while the woman subjected to this unspeakable tragedy was his 31-year-old girlfriend, Judy Malinowski. However, what happened in the next few years would make an extraordinary tale, as against all odds, Judy became the first person in history to testify in her own homicide.
Hi, my name is Judy Malinowski, and I am ready to testify.
But what were the underlying factors that precipitated this tragic incident? And to what extent did this case permanently reshape the legal landscape?
He ran around me and started pouring gasoline, started at my head and worked his way down. Some got through my throat as he did that. That hurt really bad.
Judy Malinowski came into existence as Judith Ann Hensel on August 26, 1982. Born to parents Bonnie and Thomas Hensel in Columbus, Ohio, Judy held a special place, as she was not only her mother's first child, but also arrived after numerous attempts.
Judy was my firstborn. She made me a mom. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was the happiest time of my life.
As she grew up, she evolved into her mother's closest companion. In addition to being a model daughter, Judy also embraced a role of a caring elder sister to her younger sister Danielle and her younger brother Patrick.
Judy was the nicest sister I ever had in my life. I love her to pieces.
Judy attained her high school education at New Albany High School in Ohio, graduating in 2001. During her time there, she garnered popularity and even earned the title of Miss New Albany, and was also crowned the homecoming queen. Following her high school journey, Judy pursued higher education at Ohio State University. Her charisma extended beyond academics. She was beautiful inside and out, always putting others' needs before her own. Her life was thrown into chaos when she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer at a young age, but she successfully overcame it. As a free-spirited young woman, Judy had won several beauty pageants, but she didn't have a desire for limelight. She only wished to lead a simple life.
She always would say, Mom, I want to have a simple life. I want to be a school teacher. I just want to live in a nice neighborhood with a husband that loves me and 2 kids.
And her wish almost came true. At the young age of 22, Judy tied the knot with a man named Ron Malinowski. While the specifics of her marriage remain somewhat obscure, their family soon expanded. In March 2004, she welcomed her first child, a daughter named Kaylin Malinowski. 3 years later, in September 2007, her joy multiplied with the birth of another daughter, whom she named Madison Malinowski. Judy's affection for her daughters was profound. In her words, they were the color of her heart.
People can just say, like, I love you and all, and, like, not always mean it. But for my mom, like, I always knew that she, like, actually loved me.
Life was sailing smoothly until Judy caught her husband Ron cheating on her, prompting their separation at the end of 2007. Unfortunately, this marked the onset of a series of unexpected challenges. At this time, Judy's cancer had also returned. The doctors had to perform a total hysterectomy on her. Demonstrating remarkable strength, Judy triumphed over the cancer once again. However, her trials were far from over. America in the late 2000s witnessed a surge in the prescription of opioid drugs, which led to several addiction stories. Judy was among those affected. During her recovery, she began to develop a dependence for pain medications.
She had told me, Mom, I'm getting addicted to this pain medicine, and I said to her, Judy, it's fine. I'll never forget it. I said, just take them as the doctor prescribes them. It says 4 a day, take 4 a day. It's fine.
Judy received support from her family, yet the situation was deteriorating. Once her insurance stopped covering the medicines, she turned to street drugs, particularly heroin. The repercussions were severe. Not only did her health decline, but her relationship with her family and daughters also underwent a significant change.
I realized that she was a binge user, and she would go and use and self-medicate whatever she needed.
We knew my sister, when she was in her addiction, couldn't care for the girls the same way. And so I had helped with Maddie, and then my mom had Kaylee full-time.
However, with time, she came to a realization that her impulsive choices were profoundly impacting her daughters. Fueled by this awareness, she took a pivotal step by enrolling in Ohio's Parkside Rehab Center. In a short span, she achieved sobriety, secured an apartment, and sorted out her income. Life was finally turning around for this young mother through these small steps.
I think for the first time throughout her whole addiction, I felt like I had my sister back.
Sometime in 2014, through social media, Judy reestablished contact with Michael Slager, an acquaintance from her ex-husband's circle. Michael, commonly known as Mike to many, initiated contact with Judy through a message on Facebook. He told her that he always had feelings for her, but couldn't express them before as she was married at that time. Their interaction evolved into a romantic relationship in April 2015.
So he began to, I would say, dote her, like just messaging her and just everything I guess a girl wants to read, especially, where Judy was in her life.
Initially, Judy's mother, Bonnie, was not in favor of their relationship and expressed her concern about having Judy's daughters in close proximity to Michael.
He came over to my home and he pulled in my driveway and he wanted to speak to me. He said, just because I have tattoos or I look the way I look, that doesn't mean I'm a bad person. If you're a Christian and you have love, why are you judging me by my tattoos? And I thought, wow, he's probably right. Jesus wouldn't want me to do that. But so I kind of fell in from that moment on, like, okay, back off, Bonnie.
It was almost like he knew what it takes to manipulate her to his advantage. Unfortunately, neither Judy nor her family were aware of Michael Slager's extensive criminal record at that time. His past included charges of theft, battery, stalking, domestic abuse, burglary, assault, and even child endangerment. He was an extremely dangerous individual, and it didn't take long for him to reveal his true colors. Merely a few months into the relationship, Michael started getting possessive and abusive. Judy, in her attempt to manage the situation, found herself slipping back into drug use. Shockingly, Michael was now the one bringing drugs to her, even though he refrained from using them himself. Her family believed that this was Michael's tactic to take control of the situation. As long as Judy needed drugs, she'd keep coming back to him, trapped in a never-ending cycle of dependence. There were instances when Michael had gone as far as choking Judy to the point that she was in fear for her life. Judy confided in her friends and family, revealing her genuine concern that Michael might take her life if she attempted to leave. He even tried to turn Judy's mother against her own daughter.
He honestly started to play me. She's on drugs. I don't think I can wake her up. I don't think I can wake her up. You better call 911. As time went on, there was more and more of this. He would call me and say, she didn't come home. How dare her? So I started thinking, bad Judy.
Michael not only beat Judy, but also threatened her life on a regular basis. The situation escalated to a point where law enforcement had to be involved on multiple occasions. While Michael was often the one making the calls, there were times when Judy herself contacted the authorities. However, despite nearly a dozen calls to their apartment regarding domestic violence, no charges were ever pressed. Judy tried to end the relationship on multiple occasions, mirroring the pattern seen in classic cases of abuse where victims struggle to break free. Despite her efforts, she found herself drawn back to Michael time and time again. Judy's mother had cautioned Michael to keep his distance from her daughter, yet he continued to live in her apartment. Judy even sought assistance from law enforcement, but her history of drug abuse seemed to hinder her credibility in their eyes. Tragically, Michael exploited this vulnerability to his advantage, telling her that the police were on his side. It was yet another manipulation tactic, a means to tighten his control over Judy. For Judy, the only viable path to escape from both drugs and Michael was through rehab. Finally, in August 2015, Judy was accepted into a drug rehabilitation program, and Parkside Rehab informed her about an available bed. Michael volunteered to drive her there. Therefore, on Sunday, August 2, 2015, Michael drove Judy to the rehab center. However, Judy wasn't fully prepared to immediately proceed with her rehabilitation. Judy felt the need to connect with her family, explain the situation, and have a final interaction with her children before her admission to the rehab facility. She also intended to buy cigarettes ahead of her arrival at the rehab center, where smoking was allowed. As a result, they opted to temporarily depart from the center and decided to come back later. On their way back, they made a stop at the Speedway gas station at 376 Agla Road in Gahanna, Ohio. Consequently, she also wanted to take a break from the ongoing argument she'd been having with Michael throughout the journey. She had no idea that her life was on the verge of taking a devastating turn. The surveillance cameras at the two nearby ATMs captured Judy and Michael's truck coming to a stop behind the gas station. The couple appeared to be in a heated argument, which persisted even after they exited the vehicle. Out of frustration, Judy flung her soda at Michael, triggering a frightening reaction. Michael went back to his vehicle and obtained a red gasoline container, walked back to Judy, and poured the gas can over her. As Judy wanted to back away from Michael, she lost her footing on the grass, trying to grasp what just happened. Within moments, Michael leaned down and ignited her with a lighter. The horrendous scene caught on camera showed Judy struggling for her life as she became engulfed in flames. Despite her pleas for help, Michael callously stood there watching her burn. Only a monster could do that. He only proceeded to use a fire extinguisher after observing the onlookers rushing to her aid and injured himself in the process. The Franklin County Sheriff's Office received multiple calls from the gas station, all describing the gut-wrenching incident.
Somebody is on fire. Can you tell me who did this? Like, there's a guy that's out there who's standing out there still. He's in a boiler black truck. He has tattoos all over him. He's still here. What did he do? What, like gasoline? What did he do?
Up to her like they were arguing. She dropped her bags on the ground, and then he pulled up and walked up to her with a lighter or something to light a cigarette, and she I don't know what happened, something was all over her. She just ignited immediately.
The girl was sitting in the grass, and he got out, and he threw something. All of a sudden, she was on fire.
We've already got a call. The fire department's on the way.
The police are there? I think the police are here. Okay.
Both Judy and Michael were transported to the Ohio State University's Wexner Medical Center for treatment, and Judy's family was promptly notified. At that point, they had no idea what happened. They could only assume that an accident had occurred.
Some nurse had took me the wrong way. I went past Michael's room. I went in before anybody could stop me because I was looking for my daughter. I was looking for my baby. And I went in there and I was like, Michael, where is Judy? I'll never forget it. He looked at me and he said, it was an accident. It was an accident.
When Judy's mother, Bonnie, entered Judy's room, nothing could have readied her for the scene that awaited her. 95% of her daughter's body was covered in 3rd and 4th degree burns. Her skin was unrecognizable, altered beyond identification by the severity of the burns. The sight was so overwhelming that Judy's sister Danielle couldn't help but throw up. The tormented mother looked at the medical professionals, seeking a glimmer of hope, but there was none. Judy was expected to succumb within hours. Given the extent of her burns and her age, her chances of survival were essentially non-existent. According to the doctors, her condition carried a staggering 110% mortality rate, a grim reality that typically results in patients surviving no more than a few days. While Judy battled for her life, detectives were determined to unravel the truth behind the incident. At that juncture, they had a fairly clear understanding of the events that had transpired. They had access to the data from the 911 calls made by witnesses, and the police had also secured surveillance footage from the 2 ATMs located across the street behind the gas station. What they didn't know was the reason behind it. But there was one person who held the key, the architect of this unthinkable act, confined to a bed at the same hospital as his victim. The lead detective, Chad Cohagen from the Gahanna Police Department, went into Michael's room to interrogate him.
Here to talk to you about what happened. Okay.
So what, am I under arrest or something?
Right now, yeah, you are under arrest.
What am I being charged with?
You're going to be charged with felonious assault and aggravated arson.
Before Michael had a chance to deny everything, Detective Cohagen informed him that they had gathered sufficient substantial evidence against him.
Let me just be direct with you too, Mike, okay? Where it happened at, there's an ATM right there. Okay? That ATM records all the time. We have detectives go pull the footage, we review the footage, we've all seen the footage. We know exactly what happened. Okay? So we saw exactly what happened. We saw you pour gasoline over top of her head. She stumbles to the ground. You lean over and light her on fire. We saw what happened. We know what happened.
As it turned out, Michael had a different version of the story to share.
It's not the way it looks, so I'll just wait and talk to my attorney then.
If it's not the way it looks, I'd love to hear what more there is to it.
We're arguing, she threw pop on my face, and then we was going back and forth with it, and when she come in and spit in my face, and I said, oh, well, here, you want to ruin my stuff up, because that's how I took it. I said, here, boom, I'm going to ruin your clothes. It wasn't to start her on fire or nothing, you know what I mean? It was just to ruin her clothes.
Right, yeah. Basically, you've ruined my stuff, I'm going to ruin your stuff.
So, she didn't stumble, she just sat down, she was sitting down. And then she said, well, I was getting ready to leave, and she was like, well, because I was just going to say, fuck it, leave.
Yeah, take off.
And she was like, well, don't leave, can you bring me a cigarette and stuff? And she was getting ready to change clothes because she's got extra clothes. Mm-hmm. And she was like, I didn't think I got, there was that, realized it was going to be that.
Sure.
So I walked over to give her a light. That was it.
And then
when she went up, I couldn't believe it. I just didn't think that it was going to be like that.
Right.
Right from the get-go, the detective knew that Michael's story seemed phony. It defied logic that someone could be so enraged as to pour gasoline on another person, only to exhibit such calmness 30 seconds later to offer to light a cigarette. Nonetheless, they still needed to validate his account. Judy was temporarily brought out of sedation to speak to the detectives. Although risky, this step was deemed necessary despite her precarious state. The detectives were concerned that Judy might pass away without divulging any information, potentially affording Michael an advantage in the eyes of the law. However, there was an additional obstacle to contend with. Would Judy be capable of hearing and responding to anyone's voice in her current condition?
Judy, can you hear me? Are you hurting right now? Okay. All right. Would you mind if someone asked you a couple questions about what happened? Stay calm, Jude. Stay calm, baby.
Hannah, can you hear me? Yeah. Judy, did you spill gas on yourself? No. Did Mike spill gas on you? Did Mike throw gas on you? Yes. Yes? Okay. Thank you.
It was nothing short of a miracle that Judy was not only alive, but also responsive to voices, despite enduring such trauma in her body.
I had never seen trauma like that to a human body that wasn't deceased.
It must have taken every ounce of strength in her to do that. Upon learning of Michael's arrest, Bonnie struggled to come to terms with the news. She considered the possibility that Judy might have been disoriented when speaking to the detectives. The notion that one person could deliberately inflict such harm upon another, especially someone who professed to love that individual, was incomprehensible to her. So she decided to watch the surveillance footage herself.
Right here.
I see her.
You can see here, she ran across to here, walked across to here, and now
she's angry. You can see her hands.
You can tell she's very demonstrative.
Yeah, I know,
she's very right.
It's just my child. She's angry.
Right.
They see her. She's throwing her arms, so she's mad about something there.
At one point, she does pick up the drink, and she does throw the drink on him.
She keeps backing up further from him.
Yeah, she clearly wants nothing to do with him here, and she starts walking away. You can clearly see him dumping a red can over top of her and liquid spilling down.
Oh my gosh.
She's in frame here for a little bit, but then you see her get up, stagger off, and she's never back in frame.
He bent down and literally just lit her on fire.
He did. Yep, absolutely.
So you thought about it.
Yeah.
Over the ensuing 8 months, Judy remained in a coma. She was placed on life support on 7 separate occasions, and each time she exhibited an extraordinary will to survive. Her journey was a relentless battle between life and death, a struggle that defied expectations. In the midst of this, Michael Slager awaited his fate in jail, counting down the days. If Judy were to pass away, the prosecutors could potentially bring murder charges against him. After 8 months, the detectives received a call they never expected to get. Judy Malinowski had regained consciousness. Following 59 surgeries and months of intensive treatment, her appearance had been drastically altered. She'd lost all of her hair, both ears, and a few fingers. Some wounds on her back and buttocks remained open due to her weakened state preventing surgery while lying on her stomach. Her severely burned skin was decked with ointments and dressings. She experienced excruciating pain in every living moment, yet she remained alive. Medical professionals deemed it a miracle. And with that miracle, Judy was yearning for justice to be served. After months behind bars, Michael Slager was charged with aggravated arson and felonious assault. Michael continued to deny that he intentionally caused Judy harm, so the prosecution was preparing a jury trial. Despite endless suffering, Judy was ready to testify against him.
She wanted to tell her story. I think she wanted somebody to finally listen to her.
We were actually prepared for trial that morning.
However, his defense attorney, Bob Krappens, attempted to make him realize that if Judy were to testify, the outcome would not be favorable for him.
I had to go back to Michael and say, Michael, look, she's going to testify. And this jury is going to hate you. They're absolutely going to hate you.
Even though it was a bluff from the prosecution side, as they were uncertain about whether Judy's health would permit her testimony or not, Michael fell for it. He entered a no-contest plea to the charges, thus avoiding a trial, and Judy was unable to testify. The defense found it crucial to keep Judy's testimony out of the picture for a possible future murder trial.
In your previously entered not guilty plea and pleading a no contest plea in this matter.
Correct, Your Honor.
Judy found no satisfaction in this outcome. She felt as if Michael was once again silencing her voice.
Judy felt like he's doing it again. Look, he is manipulating me and the system again. He's controlling and pulling everybody's strings, Mom. Everybody's right down to the prosecutors.
In December of 2016, Michael Slager was handed an 11-year prison sentence. Judy's family regarded this punishment as unjust, considering it far too lenient for such a horrific act.
Judy has a life sentence, and her children have a life sentence.
Mrs. Bose was correct when she said this girl has a life sentence. The pain inflicted by burns, there's no pain like that.
Despite Judge Judy Lynch sharing their sentiments, she was constrained by the fact that this was the maximum possible sentence allowable for the charges under Ohio's laws. The most disheartening aspect was that Michael refused to shoulder any responsibility for his actions and showed no remorse for destroying a person's life in such an awful manner.
I can't help myself. I don't mean to break down. I'm sorry. I'm trying so hard to stay strong, but it's just so hard. It's so hard when he just isn't even remorseful for anything. Oh my gosh.
The situation was far from a victory for the prosecution as well. Prosecutor Warren Edwards recognized the necessity for a more severe punishment. And then there was Judy, who not only survived against all odds, but also stood ready to advocate for countless other women who had endured similar ordeals. With her exceptional determination to live, she already turned the seemingly impossible into a reality. Now she was determined to bring about legal change and was willing to do whatever she could to achieve that goal. With her family by her side, Judy displayed incredible courage throughout a 2-year battle. She not only fought for her own survival, but also to rectify the gaps in the justice system. And her efforts paid off. As early as the beginning of 2017, the Ohio legislature was in the process of finalizing the initial draft of Ohio's House Bill 63, also known as Judy's Law. The proposed law would elevate the maximum sentence for intentionally disfiguring someone to up to 20 years. Unfortunately, this law wouldn't have any impact on her own case, yet Judy remained steadfast in her determination to make a difference in the lives of others. From her hospital bed, Judy conveyed a message through a videotape, articulating the reasons why the law should be enacted.
House Bill 63 should be passed because it destroyed my life, my family's life, my kids' life, everyone around us' life. And the laws of justice are just not there.
While the video played out before the lawmakers at the Ohio State House, Judy's 13-year-old daughter, Kaylin, bravely spoke on behalf of her mother.
While we stand here today, my mom lays in a hospital bed where she has been for 609 days. She has been in a lot of pain, and every day is another fight to stay alive. Mike committed a horrible crime and only received an 11-year sentence. Please pass my mom's law, because together we can prevent this from happening to other families.
After a unanimous vote of 30-0 in the House, Judy's Law moved on to the Senate. While this was a positive stride, prosecutors faced another dilemma. Judy's health was declining, and if she were to pass away, Michael could potentially face a murder charge. However, there was the concern that only Michael's account would serve as evidence, with the court missing the chance to hear Judy's side of the story. That's when they approached Judy about testifying in her own potential homicide case, and Judy was more than willing to do so. She understood that, despite her remarkable willpower, she might not survive her injuries.
And that's when they approached Judy about testifying to her own homicide. It was a long shot because it had never been done. Nobody had ever testified to their own homicide in the United States.
But history was about to change.
We were denied her testimony at the trial when at the last minute there was a no contest plea and we didn't have her testimony.
With the assistance from the Franklin County District Attorney Ron O'Brien, Judy Malinowski won a motion and was granted permission to provide a video deposition that would be admissible as evidence in Michael's future murder trial. However, another significant obstacle lay ahead. In order to proceed, Judy had to be weaned off her pain medications to be deemed legally competent. Her history of drug abuse made the situation even more challenging. But Judy was not going to retreat after coming this far. She endured weeks of tremendous agony as she underwent the process of gradually reducing her high doses of pain medications. Her pain was strong, but her dedication was stronger.
It hurts so bad. I don't want to do it. I have to.
I know.
Michael Slager requested the judge's permission to be present in the room while she recorded her deposition. The prosecution interpreted this as an intimidation tactic. Ultimately, the judge denied his request. No one except the nurses were permitted in the hospital room during the testimony, not even Judy's mom. The deposition commenced with Magistrate Elizabeth Waters administering the oath to Judy Malinowski.
This is Magistrate Elizabeth Waters. I'm going to swear you in. Could you please raise your right hand to the extent that you possibly can? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this deposition will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer to God or under penalty of perjury?
I do.
Thank you.
The testimony continued with Prosecutor Warren Edwards, who commenced by inquiring about Judy's full name and age. He then guided her back to the day of the attack, prompting Judy to recount the sequence of events that fateful day.
Hi, Judy.
Hi.
Okay, I'm going to start by asking you your name. Full name.
Judy Malinowski.
I want to show you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit DD1. Okay, that's the man you started dating in April 2015.
Yes.
Okay. I want to talk to you about Sunday, August 2nd, 2015. Do you recall that day?
August 2nd, 2015, yes, I do.
Okay. And on that day, were you with Mr. Slager?
Yes.
And where were you with him?
Well, we had went a couple places, but he had took me to UA after leaving the rehab center. And
Let's talk about that for a minute. After leaving the rehab center, we're talking about Parkside Drug Rehab?
yes,
Okay. And it was the plan to check you in there, correct?
yes,
But you weren't ready to go. Is that fair to say?
sure,
Did you have some things you wanted to do before you went?
yes,
Did those things include talking to your children that we saw earlier?
yes,
And talking to your mother?
yes,
And how about getting some cigarettes?
yes.
While recounting the events, Judy explained that they'd halted at the gas station to purchase cigarettes. Mr. Edwards proceeded to delve into more intricate details of the precise events that transpired between them.
What happened as you stood behind that speedway?
Mike came in a matter of no time at all around in his truck. He saw me and immediately slammed the truck in the park, got out, demanded that I got into the truck with him, called me all sorts of names. We argued for a good 5 to 10 minutes, and then I threw my pop on him.
You threw a pop on him?
Yes.
What was his reaction to this?
He was extremely upset.
And what did he do?
He ran around to the other side of his truck, and he got his of gasoline that he had kept in the back of his truck. It was really big and had a lot of gas. He ran around to me and started pouring gasoline, started up my head and worked his way down. Some got in my throat as he did that. That burnt really bad.
The gasoline in your throat burnt really bad?
Yes.
When he poured the gasoline on you, were you standing?
No.
Go ahead and tell us how you were when he poured the gasoline on you.
I had fell down and I was leaning on my right side, holding myself with my right arm and hand.
Okay. So did you fall down as a result of that burning sensation from the gasoline?
No.
Okay. What caused you to fall down?
I fell down completely the rest of the way. But I originally had fell down because he had pushed me. I tripped when I was running from him.
Next, Edwards questioned her regarding Michael's demeanor while he was pouring gasoline on her. Judy's response was truly heart-wrenching.
What's his demeanor as he's pouring the gasoline on you?
Evil, just completely evil. He's not responding to any of my cries for help. He won't tell me why. He just is like, you want to throw something on somebody, you want to throw a cop on me, see what I'll do to you, bitch, and how do you like this, and just all sorts of vulgar names.
Okay. So Judy, was this a joking demeanor? You poured something on me, I'm going to pour something on you, ha ha, isn't this funny?
No, it was an evil demeanor.
Okay.
Judy further described the dreadful moments when Michael executed the irrevocable act of setting her ablaze.
What happens next?
He backed away from me for about 30 seconds, and I kept telling him to please help me and stop, and I'll get the truck, I'll go with you. Why would you do this? And I looked at him, and he pulled a lighter out of his pocket, and he started walking towards me, and I just remember crying and begging for help, and he let me on fire, and the look in his eyes went black, literally. After I was set on fire and he backed away, his eyes just turned black as I screamed for his help. And he did nothing.
Edwards aimed to counter Michael's initial claim that the incident was caused by lighting a cigarette. Therefore, he directly questioned Judy about whether such an occurrence had actually taken place.
So this entire time you're asking for help, but did you make up with him in any way during these 30 seconds between him pouring gasoline on you and pulling out the lighter and setting you on fire?
No.
And did you at any time produce a cigarette and ask for a light?
No.
Okay. A matter of fact, did you have any cigarettes on you?
No.
Okay.
After Warren Edwards concluded his questioning, it was time for the defense attorney, Bob Krapens, to begin his round of cross-examination.
Ms. Malinowski, can you see me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. My name is Bob Krapens. I believe we've never met or talked before, correct?
Yes.
I've organized some questions, and I hope to keep it to the point pretty quick. But if I skip around a little bit, I apologize. I don't mean to. If you have any questions or you're not sure what I'm asking you, okay, please ask me to repeat it or rephrase it. Fair enough?
Yes.
All right.
As is often the case with defense attorneys, Krapens sought to establish that the victim's statements might not be entirely reliable. After briefly talking about Judy's relationship with Michael, he delved deeper into Judy's history of drug abuse and attempted to suggest that, given the extent of trauma Judy experienced in addition to her prior struggles with drugs, she might not remember many details accurately.
You and Michael and this little clique, you were snorting Percocets and Oxycontins or oxycodones, correct?
Correct.
You having a bad reaction to some drugs that you had taken?
No, it was a result of Mike calling my mom, telling her that I wouldn't open the door for him and he was afraid I was going to commit suicide. And I wasn't opening the door for him because we were fighting horrible. The minute I went on a first date with Michael, he never left my house after that or my side.
Although the tone of the questioning grew harsher, Judy remained firm in her testimony.
Did you use heroin after March of 2015?
Yeah, thanks to Mike. He's the one that got it for me the first time.
Did you start stealing money from Mike?
No.
Mike gave you money?
Mike bought it for me every day. He would bring home a gram of heroin.
My question is, you stole money from Mike, correct?
Objection. No, I didn't.
Did you steal property or money from your mother?
I was asked, yes.
Did you involve yourself in other illegal activities in order to get money other than panhandling?
Deep into the cross-examination, Krapens adopted a questionable strategy by implying that Judy displayed aggressive tendencies while under the influence of drugs. This tactic aimed to insinuate that Judy could have somehow provoked Michael, suggesting that the crime might have been accidental rather than intentional.
This is a time when you were still actively using drugs. Is that fair to say? And when you use drugs, you do acts or you commit acts that are not in your nature normally. Is that fair?
Yes.
And you become loud and violent at times, yes?
No, I don't become violent. I've never had a violent nature.
And Michael called the police in May 29th of 2015 because of your behavior.
Right, and so did I. I called the police and told them that Michael was going to kill me and I needed help.
The discussion circled back to Judy's memory, particularly her inability to recall certain details of that day. Krapens seized on this, suggesting that her memory had been compromised.
I don't remember.
Do you remember getting dressed that morning?
No, I don't.
Don't remember where you went to do drugs, but you knew it was a bathroom of some kind, correct?
I've been through so much, sir, unfortunately. I don't remember a lot of things, but I wish I
It'd be fair to say that the trauma you've suffered has affected your memory?
Yes.
Say that it has affected your ability to recall events accurately?
very flat.
Would you agree that because of the trauma that you have suffered, your ability to recall events accurately has been compromised?
I can recall the events, but the many details of them is what's hard for me to recall. You have to understand, on August 2nd, I was set on fire, thrown on the ground, and burnt 95% of my body.
I understand. What I'm trying to get to
Really
is...
hard for me to try to keep track of everything that happened in this horrible relationship.
The most infuriating question, however, was yet to come. During the end of the video deposition, Crappens asked Judy why she didn't run away during those 30 seconds while she still had a chance.
When he walked away for the 30 seconds that you testified about, you didn't walk anywhere, you just sat in one spot. Is that your recollection?
Yes, I was trying to gather up my stuff, and I had an issue with my shoes. I was playing this game.
You said about 30 seconds passed and then he came back. Is that true?
Yeah.
And at that point, did you try to run anywhere?
After he came back.
As he was approaching?
No, I wanted to get the gasoline off me. I said I would get in the truck. I told him, why would you do this? And
May I have just one more?
Yes, go right ahead.
is he done?
The testimony stretched on for 3 long hours, a duration that might have seemed overwhelming considering her condition. Despite the formidable challenges before her, Judy didn't back away, not even for a moment. She felt relieved when the deposition came to an end, not out of fear, but with the satisfaction of finally being able to tell her story. But sadly, it took a toll on her health. According to her mother, Bonnie Bowes, medically, it set her back. A person's resilience can only stretch so far. While Judy's spirit remained unbroken, her body was gradually giving in. After nearly 2 years of constant battle of life and death, Judy made a difficult decision to sign herself up for hospice care, expressing that she was ready to find solace in rest. She was tired of fighting in pain. In June 2017, Judy was transferred to a medical facility where she was no longer getting treatment.
I said, okay, Judy, I'll hold your hand until Jesus takes the other. And I stood up, and only for a second, and I turned, I let go of Judy's hand, and I turned, and Judy was breathing and okay, and I turned. And I picked up her hand, and I looked, and Beth looked, and I mean, I'm talking seconds, just. She was gone.
On June 27, 2017, her 696 days of battle came to an end. At only 33, Judy Malinowski passed away with her mother by her side, ultimately succumbing to her injuries. She was laid to rest at the Law Enforcement Memorial Gardens in Columbus, Ohio. After Judy's passing, Michael Slager, who was still serving his sentence for the attack, faced additional charges of first-degree murder. Despite being aware of the trouble he was in, Michael remained persistent in his claims of innocence and insisted on pleading not guilty. To Judy's family, it was an old trick of Michael to not shoulder any responsibility for his crimes. On the other hand, the state made their intentions clear. They were seeking the death penalty. The defense contested to have Judy's deposition excluded from the evidence, arguing that its admission violated Michael's right to confront his accuser.
Defense attorneys will fight like heck to keep that testimony of the victim excluded from any jury trial.
However, the judge, Guy Reese, disagreed.
A criminal defendant's right to confrontation is of paramount importance. But the defendant in this case did have an opportunity to confront the accuser, to subject her to cross-examination. 2/3 of the deposition consists of cross-examination.
The deposition was ultimately ruled admissible as evidence. Michael's defense attorney was well aware that if this case proceeded to trial, there existed a significant likelihood that the jury might deliver a verdict of capital punishment. Michael didn't stand a chance. The defense team initially sought a plea deal that would allow him to enter a plea of no contest, a stance that would not require admitting guilt. However, the prosecution rejected this proposition, asserting that this time any arrangement would only be entertained if Michael took accountability for his heinous act. When prosecutor Ron O'Brien approached the family seeking their consent, they readily granted their approval under the same condition. While awaiting trial, Ohio Governor John Kasich signed Judy's law into effect. Judy's family was present during the signing ceremony, and Kasich even allowed Judy's daughters, 13-year-old Kaylin and 10-year-old Madison, to add a dot each to his signature. The passage of the bill held a significant meaning for them, symbolizing that their mummy did not suffer in vain. Meanwhile, Michael agreed to plead guilty to first-degree murder, finally acknowledging the crime.
You will spend the rest of your natural life incarcerated.
Life in prison with no chance of parole is the sentence for the man convicted in the murder of Judy Malinowski.
On July 5, 2018, Michael Slager embraced the plea agreement and was subsequently sentenced to life imprisonment without parole within the Ohio Department of Corrections. During the sentencing hearing, a portion of Judy's testimony was played in court, wherein she expressed her desire for him to receive a life sentence.
Judy, I would just like you to state here, if you were to die from your injuries and Mr. Slager were to be convicted of having done that, I want you to tell a future judge what you want to see happen to Mr. Slager.
I would like to see him charged with murder and do a life sentence. I think that he deserves that.
Okay, thank you, Judy.
Remarkably, Judy displayed the mercy to Michael that he could not show her. Despite Michael offering a brief apology to Judy's family after the sentencing, it remained uncertain whether his remorse was genuine or not. In honor of Judy, her family established Judy's Foundation, which provides support to victims and their families who have experienced domestic violence, drug addiction, and human trafficking. The foundation is actively involved in advocating for the expansion of the Judy's Law to a federal level, aiming to create broader impact and awareness. This story is tragic on so many levels, but it also showcases the incredible fight of a survivor who simply refused to give up. This is a saga of resilience, willpower, and justice. What's your take on this case? Do you feel inspired by Judy's journey? Or do Michael's unspeakable acts make your blood boil? Let us know your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. If there's a case you'd like us to cover, don't hesitate to drop your recommendations in the comments section. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more gripping true crime stories.